Well, I want to welcome you to A Course of Love. We're in chapter 31, which is next to the last chapter of the book. So it's pretty deep, it's pretty intense, but it's pretty simple and easy to hear if you're ready to hear it. So what I like to do to try to bring the energy in is to get everybody to just take a breath for a minute. And I'm going to do a little short centering thought that'll kind of let us get tuned in. If you're here, you know what the rule is. You need not believe it. You need not accept it. You need not even welcome it. Some of it may be hard to believe. Did I say some of it may be hard to believe? Mm-hmm. Okay. Some of it might be startling. But if you use it, you'll see that it's true. It's not about analyzing the ideas. And what I'd like to invite you to do is just for an hour, let's try to get out of the regular human mind that we use that's focused on the regular human issues that we deal with from day to day. And try to remember that the purpose of the Course of Love is to remove the blocks to the awareness of love, our power, who we really are, getting in touch with our divine self, getting in touch with that part of us that's creating the experience that we're having, our real self, which is beyond the self we've been taught we are. Most people believe they are what they have learned that they are. We're trying to go beyond what we've learned that we are. So the purpose of the class is not to reinforce what you already believe about yourself, but to go to another level of consciousness, another level of who we really are. And what we're covering tonight is the nature of the mind. So it's what the Course of Love is teaching about the nature of the mind from a brand new level. So again, it's not concerned with what we are going through in our day-to-day experience with the people around us that we wish we could deal with differently. If we get in touch with who we really are wouldn't even be bothered about this stuff. It wouldn't even be lost in that confusion. It wouldn't even be wearying. A friend of mine was telling me, gave me a great definition of weary that I really want to remember. And he said weary is being being preoccupied with what you do not want to happen. Ooh. And I thought that was a perfect way to put it. If you're worrying, you're just being preoccupied with what you don't want to happen. And then one of the things that we're learning through our spiritual path is that thought is creative, and that our thoughts is literally creating our experience. So if I'm constantly focusing on what I don't want to happen, I'm just putting all my energy into what I don't want to happen. And then I'm stunned when what I don't want to happen happens.
Yeah, right.
Like, how did that happen? Well, that's what you're putting all your friggin' energy into. So this is going to be so I'm going to try to move faster. And what I did was I went through the entire chapter and hit the main points in each chapter that seemed like would be the least abstract, that would kind of wrap up the whole point of the paragraph. Because I think we'll move faster, and so it won't be another 2 months to do chapter 32.
Yeah, right.
So what I want to do now is share a thought from the Way of Mastery called The Steps to Awakening. And what we want to do is take a couple of minutes, and when you feel like, and if you feel like chiming in to affirm this, because we are learning the power of the spoken word, then chime in. If not, you just might want to listen, and that's okay. But I think it would be a great thought to allow us to get centered, which is nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. I experience only the effects of my own choice. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. I experience only the effects of my own choice. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. I experience only the effects of my own choice. So I'm going to take sentence one. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. I experience only the effects of my own choice. I experience only the effects of my own choice. I experience only the effects of my own choice. I experience only the effects of my own choice. I experience only the effects of my own choice. Take a breath. I experience only the effects of my own choice. I experience only the effects of my own choice. I experience only the effects of my own choice. I experience only the effects of my own choice. Say what? I experience only the effects of my own choice. I experience only the effects of my own choice. I experience only the effects of my own choice. I experience only the effects of my own choice. I experience only the effects of my own choice. I experience only the effects of my own choice. Nothing that happened today that I experienced was caused by anything outside of me. Nothing that I experienced today was caused by anything outside of me. Nothing I experienced today was caused by anything outside of me. That doesn't matter. I mean, some resistance may come up to that.
Just a little.
Yeah. But still, even the person don't like me, it still don't stop me from being me still. So in a way, no matter how I feel about it, it doesn't change what's the truth.
Sure.
So, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go through, and I can tell you any paragraph that I got this information out of chapter 31. And the purpose of this chapter is to get us in touch with the power of our mind. The purpose of this chapter is to get us in touch with the nature of the mind. And so the Course says you should always establish the goal first, that the goal determines the outcome. So no matter what's going on in your life, whatever area of your life, without a goal, anything can happen to you. Without a purpose, anything can happen to you. Most people let situations just happen to them, and then they try to piece together what it must have meant. And then they're wrong, because they didn't have any idea what should have happened. The Course, the truth teaches you should always have a purpose and a goal first, because with the purpose and the goal, it keeps you focused, because number one, you know how to evaluate which direction to go in. Because if you have a goal, you know what's taking you away from it obviously isn't the right thing to do, and what's moving you toward it is the right thing to do. But if you don't have a goal, you don't do that. Like if I had a goal to be in a relationship where I was no longer emotionally abused, yet the person was abusing me, and my goal is to not be abused, well, I know that I shouldn't continue to go in this direction. But without a goal, I don't know. So most people just wait and just hope. So rule number one, he says there's only one will, which means there's only one mind. So the nature of the mind is that there's one. Then it goes in the next paragraph and says, thoughts related to your personal self, thoughts related to the survival of your body, are not the thoughts that come from your true divine self. The thought system of oneness and unity is a shared thought system and not a thought system of private thoughts. So therefore, all private thoughts are of the ego. All private thoughts are not thoughts that come from your divine self. All thoughts about your personal self and all thoughts about the survival of your body are not coming from your true self.
Wow.
So that pretty much wiped out 90% of the things I think. So that means most of the thoughts that I have are not spiritually and divinely inspired. Most of the thoughts I have are coming from my desire for security and can I make it. Those are not God thoughts. Those are not your divine self thoughts. The next paragraph tells us that being afraid of the truth is silly. I mean, he literally says that. Being afraid of the truth is silly because the real truth only brings love and peace. So if what you are hearing is not bringing you peace, it's not coming from the truth. See how simple it is?
Yeah.
But it also reveals a lot about the thoughts that we have and about whether or not they're true thoughts or not. That's why it's hard to stay conscious, because the ego is the part of you that only wants to talk about matters related to your own personal survival and your own personal pleasure and your own personal happiness and your own personal separateness. And anything that's coming from the truth is always something that you wouldn't mind sharing. So all those thoughts that you have that you're afraid to share, you just need to keep them to yourself anyway, because they're not coming from love. Because if they were truly coming from love, why would you be afraid to share it? If it's really coming from something real, in other words, telling the truth is an ego concept. It's coming from the part of us that just trying to make up what the truth is and then determine how we are by that truth. In other words, I need to tell you the truth about how I feel about your shoes. That's totally meaningless.
Yeah.
In terms of ultimate truth. It may mean something to your ego, but it has nothing to do with real truth. You with me on that? Mm-hmm. Okay. So we're talking about something at a whole new level. Why are we talking about this? Because I'll say it again. Our real self, our divine self, who we really are, has the power to create everything our hearts desires. So if a person is really sincere about having loving relationships, abundance in their life, joy in their life, that's going to come from their real self, not the scary one that's running around in the world hoping they can find somebody who's going to fulfill them if they act right. Okay? So this is another level. I know it must be good because my throat's trying to close down. You can be one with everyone and still have your own uniqueness. What it's doing is not the same in expression on this plane. What does that mean? We can be one and still have our own unique expression of who we are. So being one doesn't mean you give up your unique individuality. And the Course of Love says that's why people are afraid to get into oneness and thinking they're the same, because they think they're going to lose who they are in that process. If we're all the same, as a matter of fact, I used to think that if I heard the statement we were all the same, it sounded boring. So I realized that every time I have any interpretation of the truth that makes me feel heavier or more depressed, that's my clue that my interpretation of the truth isn't correct. That's a quick little rule. If you're reading something in a truth book and you find yourself feeling a lot of resistance or a lot of fear, you can safely assume that it's your interpretation of what you just read that's the problem. Because the truth brings love and joy. So we got to take a stand. If it's love, then there's no fear in it. If it's love, there's no guilt in it. If it's love, there's no attack or lack in it. And no mix the two. The truth is saying you got to stop mixing the two. You got to stop saying, I love them, but my love is full of fear. No, your love is never full of fear. You're either loving or fearing. It's not, I love you, that's why I want to kill you. No, if I love you, I wouldn't want to kill you. There's many people that go to jail. Well, I killed her because I loved her. No, you didn't kill her because you loved her. You killed her because you hated her in that moment. You were afraid in that moment. That's why you attacked them. You know, I'm jealous because I love them. No, you're jealous because you're insecure and afraid. You're not jealous because you feel love. You're jealous because you feel fear of loss. Jealousy is always fear. All fear is always fear of losing something. So all fear. So every time you say I feel afraid, if you were to finish it with I'm afraid of losing, it would make a lot more sense to you. I'm feeling afraid right now. I'm feeling afraid of some form of loss right now. That's why when I saw him talking to somebody else at the party, I got upset. I was afraid of losing. What is it I was afraid of losing? My specialness. The truth was that I was afraid of losing my specialness, the attention, you know, the focus. Because I'm insecure, you see. So I need you to validate me. And that's a full-time job. So any attention you give to somebody else is attention you're taking away from me. And so I'm upset with you now. Because you're on earth to make me feel good. And somehow or another you've forgotten your function. And in exchange for that, you might get some sex. Okay, now. You know, whatever the special thing. Take you out to dinner or something. There's got to be something you got to be offering for that kind of attention. I always tell people, anybody that wants that kind of attention from me, you better be a whole lot of fun. You better be really interesting. You know, most people want that kind of attention and they're not even giving any love. They're not even really giving the person any compliments, any support, any appreciation, but they want the person to give them all their attention. It's crazy, but people do it. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
You see it all the time. People complain about not getting attention who never give any.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always want attention, but they're not giving any. So to be one doesn't mean that we're going to all express ourselves the same way. Then it says the fear of being, then it says the fear of being the same is the fear of oneness. Bodies are the same and different at the same time, for example. So we can be the same and be different at this level. You don't lose yourself by being the same as others. So things can, oh, this is really great. He said things can be handled without you having to consciously do them. Just like your body performs its functions without you consciously directing all of the functions, which would be impossible for you to do. In other words, I'm not going, okay, let me make sure I breathe. Let me make sure I keep my heart beating. Let me make sure I'm making my food digest. Let me make sure my nervous system is working. In other words, we would all die immediately if we had to consciously control all the functions of our body. So that means things can be handled without your consciously trying to be in control of everything. Okay? Then the Course of Love says, well, let things be handled for you at a level beyond your ability to consciously do them. So at the level of spirit, your life can work as smoothly as your body without your consciously controlling everything. In other words, we have to learn to let go and let God. We have to learn how to let go and let the universe. We have to learn how to stop being such control freaks. And control freaks are just fearful people who think they can only feel safe by controlling everybody around them and everything they do. So a control freak is the most fearful person around. Anybody know any?
Oh God.
Anybody ever ran into one? What's that?
I've never even heard of it.
I know. You must be new. Yeah, my favorite people are the ones who let me control them. Okay, now. Yes. Tell me you'll do whatever I want. Oh, God, yes. People tend to say that in special relationships at the beginning. Oh, just tell me what you want, baby. I'll do anything you want, baby. Anybody ever heard that?
Yes.
Anybody ever said that?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. We lie at the beginning, don't we? Yeah, buddy. We put it out there, you know what I'm saying? It was like throw that fishing line out there. Hook that fish. Like the Course calls our body our bait. I love that. You know, how's your bait looking tonight? Looking pretty good to me. Look like y'all can catch a few fish. Every one of y'all.
Looks like you can catch a fish.
I'm trying to catch a whale. I'm overfished. I'm looking for a couple of whales tonight. Sometimes I look in the mirror and go, that old bait, it ain't what it used to be. Many long years ago. That's why I'm getting more. That's why I'm trying to tune into more people who are into inner beauty. I'm looking for the inner beauty people. The mind and the brain are not the same thing. The mind and the brain are not the same thing. The brain is actually in the mind. Isn't that deep? Because your mind is your being. The mind is the control center. The mind is storing all of the knowledge and all of your memories, but your mind is also storing knowledge that's beyond what you know. So your mind knows more than you think you know. And your mind is also storing everything you think you've ever experienced. So your mind, and this is deep, your mind is actually able to separate from the body. Have you ever heard of out-of-body experiences? Mm-hmm. Which is when your consciousness leaves your body. Anybody here ever had an out-of-body experience? I have. And it might have been the LSD, but it don't make no difference. Now, the out-of-body experience is when it looks like you are observing your body. Instead of looking at it from this, if you're inside of it, you're looking at it. When it happened to me one time, I was watching my body from behind. And my body was walking, and I was looking at it from behind, and that's when I really realized that I had a really good butt. It was like, it was an amazing thing. Don't tell me you never wanted to see your own butt. You know you have.
Out of butt experience.
It was out of butt experience. That's right. So, if you're a spiritual being, if you are consciousness, if you are not your body, but you have a body, then theoretically you could see how that would be possible. The only reason why we think that our mind has to be joined all the time to the body, again, is because we learned that. A lot of things that people say with total certainty, they don't realize they're just repeating the company line. They're just repeating what they were told from the time they were born and not really questioning. So no one truly awakens until they're willing to question every value that they have. And they're willing to question their beliefs rather than being like a programmed robot that believes that everything that unhappy people are teaching you. That's what's the interesting thing. Like most of the people who are trying to tell us what to do to be happy, many of them are not happy themselves.
Right.
Or the people who are telling us what to do with our money or prosperity don't have a dime. But they're telling us how we should be handling our money. Or people who are telling you how to do your relationship haven't had a relationship in 10 years that's happy. So you got to sometimes consider the source. Like who's demonstrating what you're talking about. Yeah.
Earl, I found that just about anything, to your point there, anybody that gets, for lack of a better term, on a soapbox and does finger pointing, you need, kind of talk. You need to do this. You need to do that. This is what you should be doing. Anybody that does that isn't doing what they're finger pointing about. Is my experience a great deal of the time at least.
Well, if you ever want to correct anything instantly, all you have to do is the reversal law. You really need to become more conscious. Oh, I need to really become more conscious. Oh, you really are a very beautiful person. Oh, I am really a very beautiful person. Oh, you're really, really stupid. Oh, I'm really, really stupid. Whatever you projected onto someone else, all you have to do is turn it around on you, and now you're seeing it correctly, because you can't see it in the other person unless it was in your own consciousness yourself. So, so I pay attention to what people around me are saying, because I know whatever they're saying about someone else is the way they think. And so I get a good idea of what kind of mind I'm dealing with. I also know it's in my own mind. Why? Because I heard them say it. So I couldn't escape either. See, I like to escape and think that it don't have anything to do with me. But I heard it. Well, why was I there? So if you want to know where everybody in your life are coming from, listen how they're talking about everybody else. If you want to know what they'll do to you, it's what they're doing to everybody else. But see, your specialist will tell you, they'll talk about that person behind their back, but they wouldn't talk about you. Because your specialist tells you you're different. They feel differently about you. So they would never do that to you. Don't you believe that? Don't you believe that? Because they're revealing to you how they think. Number one, how they think about themselves, how they think about the other person, how they think about you. Deep. Nothing's hidden. It's just people who don't know how the truth operates. You are not your body. You have a body, but you're not it. Okay, any thoughts or questions about the first 7 paragraphs?
So do you think on some crazy level, sorry, should I wait?
No, go ahead. No, I'm just,
Okay.
no, I'm just.
On some crazy level, like, my boss is always, what's a nice way of putting it?
You can say.
Complaining.
Uh-huh.
I was gonna say bitching.
Okay,
About
whatever.
whoever else is making her mad. Do you think on some level, and I totally hear what you're saying, when she's saying that about them, I know she talks the same way about me behind my back. But do you think what she's saying about them to me is what she wishes she could tell me, but since she can't do conflict, she has to talk about other people?
No, she
That
probably
makes sense?
really thinks that she's talking about somebody else. You should be conscious enough to know that she's really saying, she's really talking about herself. She's really talking about the attitudes that she takes. That would be my take on it. That it's not her trying to tell you something about you by saying something about somebody else. She may or may not. But the one thing you can be certain of is that everything she says applies to her. That's my point. Everything she's saying applies to her.
I like that.
All of it. And remember that the next time you're criticizing somebody.
Yeah.
That everything.
That's yourself.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a great way to get in touch with what needs to be corrected in your own mind.
That's great.
That'd be the good way to look at it. Yeah.
Isn't that a beautiful way? Her boss is called love.
Yeah, that's her boss's call for love. And if she saw it as a boss's call for love, it would be a reminder of love. And if you remember love, you create love for yourself. So any excuse you can come up with to think about love always raises your consciousness, even if it's just me saying it's your call for love. Remember, specialness, the way you make specialness happen is by being superior or inferior, but never equal. So specialness is always, I'm either better than you or less than you. So some people get their specialness by always being the pathetic person, most pathetic person in the room, and then some people get their specialness by always thinking they're better than everybody else. A conscious being knows they're the same as everybody else.
Yeah.
So again, as you begin to wake up to the truth and you're listening to people, you kind of know instantly who you should move toward and who you should bless and release if you want to have peace. So you're not condemning a person. You know, I'm not condemning a lion because I avoid it when I see it headed toward me. I'm just avoiding probably some conflict. So because you avoid misery doesn't mean that you're not dealing with it.
Did you say catch and release a second ago?
A bless and release.
A bless and release.
Bless. Try not to catch it. even if you're gonna release it, that's okay. You can catch and release it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Some people are fishing, and some people throw the fish back. Some people keep the fish. Anybody else before I go to the next page? Anybody hear a statement they want to remember more than anything? They hope they don't forget.
I like what you said. Again, I just repeated it to myself. I repeated it to myself like 20 times. The love that you create is the love that you take with you. What was it you just said it just a few seconds ago? The love that you give out is the love that you will. It's more love that you will take.
Well, what I was saying about it, the thing that I remember was about whenever you can see anything as an opportunity to remember love, it's increasing it in your consciousness.
That's it.
And whatever you increase in your consciousness is what you physically manifest. See, the secret is our reality is our consciousness. That's the big secret. Right. Most people don't know it's their consciousness, it's their mind that's drawing everything to them. So whatever it is you like to experience more of, then it has to be what you focus on.
Mm.
That's why I said worry is being, preoccupied with what you don't want to happen. And many people do that. I have to watch it. One of the things I learned from my mother is as well as many cool things was how to worry. My mother was a person who thought that the way that you showed love for someone was to always be concerned about them. Anybody familiar with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So her thing was she was worried about everything. She was concerned about everything. And so it was funny when I read the Course in Miracles and it said continued concern is attack.
Uh-huh.
Because it's a reflection of a lack of faith in God, in spirit, in love to protect that person. So what most parents do is surround their children with fear. But they think they're surrounding their children with love because they think worrying about them all the time is showing their love for their child. But all they're really doing is increasing fear. So I had to make the decision with my own children when they were young that, well, first of all, I had to make the realistic assessment that I couldn't be with them all the time. So it was totally unrealistic to think I could protect them anyway, which is the biggest illusion that parents have, that they're going to protect their child, as if they can be with their child every single second. So number one, I had to give my child to God. That was number one. I had to give my child something that was with my child all the time because I wasn't with my child all the time. And to remember that all their continued concern was attack. So then I had to call my concern a request for peace and safety for my child. So I would say my concern is a call for love. My concern is a call for God. So that way I could go ahead and have all my feelings, whatever they were, but not use them against my child. With me on that? See what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's cool.
So
That's really deep.
So what you want to learn how to do is to reinterpret your emotions because you can't get rid of all of them. So you just have to have another way to look at them. And it's not just your child, it's anybody that you love. It could be your partner, it could be anybody. Parent, anybody. You can't protect them. It's an illusion to think you can.
Yeah.
You
right.
can't.
You can't.
But God can. That which created us can. Oh, another thing I had to remember about my children was that my children came here with their own soul lessons to learn.
Yes.
And those lessons have nothing to do with me. I could be the best parent in the world and my child could end up in some kind of big mess because my child had a lesson to learn through that. So the other thing as a parent is they take too much responsibility for how their children turn out. I know children who had parents who lavished them with attention every kind of way you could think of. And counsel with parents whose children were one step away from being Charles Manson. But they had everything that you could possibly imagine. And I've seen just the opposite. The most outstanding children you could ever imagine who came from the most abusive situations that you could have ever imagined. So again, we under the illusion that somehow we can make everything right for our children. And we can't. All we can do is set an example. And also be true to ourselves, because I believe that souls choose their parents, their sex, their race. I don't believe we just drop in here because two people decide to have sex. I think there's more to us being here than that. I think there's a greater purpose for life than can you get a house, can you get a car, can you get a good job, can you get retirement. I mean, come on, y'all. We got to be more advanced than thinking that's what it is. I hope all of us in here are at least further along than that.
Please.
Yeah, that we think that it's just for the American dream is why we were born. Because if having a house in and of itself made everybody happy, the majority of people would be happy. Because the majority of people have homes. And if having a car made you happy, then the majority of us would be happy because most of us drive cars. And if just having a body with us automatically made you happy, then all of us would be happy because most people have some kind of special relationship. So most of us have the stuff you're supposed to have in order to be ecstatically happy. And some people still want to shoot themselves because they got the house that they can't pay for, and they got the mate that drives them crazy, or whatever, Right. So again, nothing outside of myself nothing that I experience is being caused by anything outside of me. So, okay, now this is a really great one. It says, the only thing that you try, I love this, the only thing that you try to keep private and what you try to keep unshared is only what you think you are. You must distinguish who you think you are from who you really are. That's what we learn to do. How to separate who we think we are from who we truly are. And it says it's your private thoughts, both positive and negative, that you don't share. people tend not to share their highest thoughts about themselves because they're afraid of seeming vain. And then people
Right.
tend not to share their
Right.
most negative thoughts about themselves because they don't want
Insecurities.
people to think negative of them. And so your secret thoughts, he says, your secret thoughts are keeping your unlimited self away from your awareness. And I'm not saying you should share your private or secret thoughts. Because actually, in some of those thoughts, it just makes them more real to you. So actually, most of the time, if you don't share it, you're not really giving any power to it. And if you share it, you're giving power to it. Like if I don't like you and I don't share it with you, it actually has less power than if I told you I don't like you. Because it don't really matter whether I like you or not. What I think about you is none of your business. And what you think about me is none of mine. Like a lot of times people say to me, "There's something I really think I need to share with you that you might not like." I said, "Well, don't."
Yeah, that's it.
I don't need to hear.
Yeah.
Keep it to yourself.
That's good.
That's right. Let it do you in. That's not very holy, is it?
Yeah, it is. That's great.
Thank you. Yeah. The person who hates me, they're the ones that's experiencing the hate. It's really taking them out. So my enemy is taking themselves out. That sounds like a good deal to me. I like the laws of the universe. I don't feel their hate. You don't feel my sore throat. So that whole idea that you feeling somebody else's feelings, that's funny. You're just feeling your feelings. And then you're projecting it on somebody else, or you experiencing a whole lot of empathy. So you think, oh, I can just feel where you're coming from. No, you feel where you're coming from.
Right.
And then you're projecting it on me. Like I've had people come to me, it seems like you're really troubled, like something's wrong with you. And I said, well, what's wrong with you? I feel fine. So you need to tell me what's going on with you, because you're the one that's troubled. Why? Because you said you thought you felt my trouble. Now we can feel each other's love, but we don't feel each other's pain. That's obvious. Right? I mean, everybody gets that, right? I mean, if somebody in this room right now is constipated, all of us not feeling that way, right? So it's really cool. So it's really cool that as long as we don't love each other yet the way we should let the love come through us, I think it's great that we're separate. I think until I love you, I think it's great that we can get in our car and go separate ways. I think separation is cool. Until we really learn who we really are and love who we really are. I think it's great. I think the universe is showing me love through our ability to be separate. I don't want to feel everybody's stomach ache. I don't want to feel everybody's sadness, me personally. So before I tune into everybody's feelings, I'd love it to be tuning into love. That's me personally. I'm just sharing my personal feeling about it. I mean, you might want to feel everybody's pain. I don't know. I don't. Anybody here want to?
No.
Okay, I just want to check out. I just want to make, so that's the advantage of separation, is that we don't have to feel what everybody else feels. That's why it's hard to give it up.
Can I say something real quick?
Mm-hmm.
But we're not separate. We're not really separate. And so the separation you're talking about, you discussed what kind of separation is the different, because we all are one. So you're just talking about kind of like physically separating yourself, right?
Yeah, the ego and the physical is of the ego, because the physical doesn't last. Right? So we know all things physical are really coming from the idea of separation. And so the truth in us is giving our separation a new purpose. So the truth in us is now using our separation to represent all the different ways we can express and extend love to each other. It started out as separation to be separate. Now we're using our separation to remind each other of love and remind each other of the truth in our own individual ways. The only thing that's changed is the purpose. The original purpose was separation. We have changed our mind and said now we want to join again. Mm-hmm. So now we're using our separation to join. We all came here separately to join. on the truth together, where there are people who are using the separation to separate. We're using the separation to join. It's the only thing that's changed is our purpose.
Cool.
But since nothing physical lasts, then nothing physical is ultimately real. Because there's nothing you can look at or point to physically that lasts. Not even the universe, the physical universe. There's nothing physical that lasts forever. But whatever it's made of does. Whatever created it does. You can, you know what I'm saying? The energy and just changes form. Energy and matter just changes form. You never can destroy it, but the form changes. Mm-hmm. So it's the form that's not real, not the content. Your form is going to change, but you will always exist. When people die, they just drop the body. They still exist. We don't think they do because the medium of communication that they have, their body is gone. So their body, which was there, just like right now. I mean, you could break it down the way we are right now. When you leave out the door, I don't communicate with you per se because your body is gone. Unless you communicate to me through a telephone or something, but you're still using something physical to reach me. So without the physical thing that we use to reach each other, we couldn't be talking to each other. So just because a person dies, all that means is the physical apparatus they had to communicate with you is no longer there. So whenever you make your transition, at your funeral, there will be no one looking at the body in that casket, if it's in the casket, with any more wonder than you. You'll be there like, whoa. Whoa. You're not your bodies. You've donned and discarded more bodies than you could even remember. That's why you don't. Because it would be a distraction. It's enough to deal with the stuff I've done in this life. I don't need to remember 10 or 12 others. And the belief in reincarnation, the Course teaches, is not necessary in order to practice the truth, because the truth is only going to ultimately be something you can practice right now anyway. So anything else is theoretical.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. You had your hand up, brother.
Oh, you answered my question. It was just that every time I hear the phrase, "you are not your body," intellectually I get that, but there's this bodily reaction that's like recoiling from that. And when you said ego is in the physical, because it's not
so now
lasting.
so you know what's recoiling, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And not only that, but saying you're not a body, and this is important, is not the same as saying you don't have a body.
Right.
And that's why I think people get mixed up and they feel that resistance. And that doesn't mean the body is being put down. And it doesn't mean the body doesn't have a valuable purpose and use. But the ego puts all that on it. Why? Because that's what we worship. I mean, we be honest. It's our idol, y'all. Come on.
Yeah.
The body is everything to us. So for somebody to say your body isn't everything, isn't what you are. And then he says, then your ego tries to prove to you you are your body. And your ego does that through pleasure and pain. Yes, you are this body. Your throat's a little sore. Yes, you are this body. Oh, didn't that feel good when they massaged your shoulder? Oh yeah, oh yeah. So pleasure pleasure and pain are really the same.
Yep.
Because their purpose is the same. They both make you feel like you're just a separate body in the world. And so we're learning we're more than that.
Cool.
Very cool.
But the ego is going to tell you somehow or another I'm putting it down, or the truth is putting it down, or saying it's not okay to have one. And you realize I never said any of those. I literally never said any of that. So that's total projection. Like I've heard people say, well, Earl, didn't you say the body doesn't, didn't you say the body didn't, it's nothing, didn't mean anything? And said, well, when the Course says the body doesn't mean anything, it just means the body is neutral.
Right.
And that you're the one that gives it the meaning. Your body doesn't mean anything in and of itself. You have to give it meaning, and hopefully somebody else will. Right? But in and of itself, it doesn't. Nothing here in and of itself has meaning. Isn't that the truth? I mean, everything here is neutral. It just depends on the meaning you give it. Everything. Sometimes I'm amazed at the meaning I give things.
Yeah.
I have to remember all the time when my feelings are hurt, I'm the one that's giving it the meaning that's hurting my feelings. I'm the one that's giving this the meaning that's hurting my feelings. I'm the one that's giving this the meaning that's upsetting me. I'm the one that's giving this the meaning that's upsetting me. I'm the one that's giving it the meaning that's upsetting me. How many people stop and say that when they're upset? How many times do you stop and say that? You do? That's great, because that means you're getting it.
Yeah.
When you get to the point that you go, yes, I do feel angry, I'm making myself feel
You need
angry.
to work on that.
I'm making myself feel angry. I'm making myself. That actually, to say that is the healing of it.
Wow.
It's not even like you have to say, I'm making myself feel angry, then how can I fix it? If you tell yourself you're making yourself feel angry, one day you're going to stop. Oh, you're going to say, oh, it's me doing it. Oh, I just stopped then. Because you've done it in many areas of your life where you realized you were doing something and you just stopped. I know people who stopped smoking, and I said, well, how did you stop smoking? They said, I just stopped. They decided it didn't have any more meaning for them. Or whatever meaning they gave it, they were going to take away from it. It's just hard to stop doing stuff that you really want to keep on doing. It's not ever hard to stop doing something you don't want to do no more.
Like looking at your butt.
Right. I've been trying to do that again for years. But
No, and I mean that the physical. I'm just a little
no.
joking way of,
Yeah.
of going into the
Yeah.
physical. That is a tough damn thing to do.
What is?
To not, I hate to admit this, but judge people by the look on their face. By I mean,
Right.
I catch myself constantly doing it, which is good in one way because it means I've got a little more awareness and I'm doing it. But I judge people right off the bat when somebody walks in the door. There's a little, even if it's a teeny little bit.
So you could say
a little
there's
bit
a
of
part of
judgment.
me that judges myself, bam, right off the bat.
Yeah.
God, he makes it so easy sometimes.
Yeah, but it's frustrating.
So frustrating.
But
So
it's,
hard.
It's not hard. It's just very different.
it's just.
And that's what people mistake the truth. They think the truth is hard. It's not hard. It's actually harder to live the way we live.
Right.
The truth is easier than the way we live. We've been taught to live. It's not harder. It's actually, but you have to be so innocent to let it be easy. So a person who doesn't love themselves would never have an easy life. Even if they had an easy life, they wouldn't let themselves have it.
Wow.
They would be rich and feeling guilty about it.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't love yourself, it doesn't matter what situation you're in. You're not going to let yourself enjoy it. I don't care what
Right.
it is. That's what I learned about the
That's how you
manifest.
remind yourself of how good your butt looks.
That's what I had to, because once I loved my butt, then I could go on to other parts of my body
That's right.
that I'm trying to get out of my body to look at. I'm trying to work through my whole body. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I always
yeah.
say start with the place of it you have the least resistance, so
That's
you
right.
can welcome it,
That's
right?
right. Thank you. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Well,
And so it's because if you feel innocent about it, you never attack it.
Right.
You want to attack a body you feel innocent about.
Yeah.
You attack a body you hate.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
And always remember this: no matter what your body looks like right now, there's somebody that would love it just the way it is.
It's a hard one to.
There's somebody that's praying for a black dude with love handles. I know it. I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it right now. They want to hang on for the ride. Okay. Now, let's see here. Oh, okay. Any other thought about this? Okay, here, check this out. He says, I'm not saying that you should share your private and secret thoughts. And this is paragraph 31.15. He says, I'm just saying that thoughts that come from your real self are thoughts of love and truth that you would never not share or even want to keep private. Thoughts from your real self are so loving and true that you would freely share them with everyone. The rest doesn't really matter. The rest doesn't really mean anything. I'll say that again. Because you think about how much turmoil we go through about private thoughts. And should I share private thoughts? Well, if it's real, you can't help sharing it. If it's love, why would you feel afraid to share it? Why would you feel afraid to share a thought of appreciation? It's only ego thoughts that you're afraid to share. Who needs to hear them anyway?
Right.
You could change your mind about an ego thought yourself. That's one thing. There's enough egos out there who don't know the truth that they'll tell the person what you felt like telling them anyway. Something. So
why bother?
Yeah, so why bother?
Exactly.
Yeah,
right.
people love to correct, criticize, judge, and tell other people
So true.
what to do so much that if your own ego, you can keep it in check. If they really are obnoxious, somebody else is gonna tell them that they're obnoxious and gonna go off. They're gonna meet each other.
Yeah.
You know, but I need to ask myself, if I'm thinking that person is obnoxious, what's obnoxious in me that I need to take a look at in my own mind and have corrected, because that's the gift that person is giving me. They let me know I have obnoxious thoughts about myself
Because you recognize it.
because I saw it in them.
Because you see it, you recognize
Right.
it, and therefore you got
Yeah.
a piece of it.
Yeah, have you ever wondered why higher invisible beings never say anything to us, pretty much? If they really exist, why are they so friggin' quiet?
Yeah.
If there are these invisible teachers or spiritual guides, why are they so quiet? They're practicing the truth. That's why. That's why.
Wow.
They realize it's like you see, think about
That's
it.
incredible.
If you're practicing the truth, what are you gonna find yourself doing less and less? Not even getting the other person involved.
Sure.
You be going, oh, that's something within my own mind that needs to be corrected, so why I need to say anything to them? So that's why we're not being talked to.
Right.
Because higher beings are correcting their own thoughts through what they see in us. So they're not saying nothing to us.
Wow.
We are not conscious enough yet to do that, so we feel like it's our duty to what? Fix everybody else.
Right.
And tell everybody else what they need to do and what's wrong with them, which is a sign of unconsciousness. So really, the more you wake up, the less you are projecting on others. So you would be more silent. I know
Right.
I do it all the time. I'll sit up among people and I'll be like, okay, I'm feeling this right here. And okay, Holy Spirit, what is it within me that needs to be corrected right now? Oh, okay, I had that critical thought about that person. Oh, okay, what is it with it? So I'm not saying anything to anybody. Because I'm realizing every judgment I have is something in me that needs to be healed. So why do I need to talk to them? And in most cases, I'm only going to be with them a little while anyway, because I live by myself. So if I could just hang for a little while, I'm good to go. Now, you know what I'm saying? Now, so I'm not saying you should never share with somebody something that you feel like you need to communicate. But I am saying if you communicate with them from the perspective that you all are the same, then the communication will generally create less defensiveness, less separation, less attack. But if you're communicating from the projection of you got the problem and I don't, you're probably going to have an argument. You're probably going to have separation. But if you start out with, I hope I'm wrong about this, this is what I'm seeing right now, and I realize it's also representing something that's going on inside me, but I just have to say this is what's going on for me right now, and I really like another way to look at it, and could you help me have another way to look at it? The person's going to be a lot less defensive. And if you can't do that, and you lose it, and you act a complete fool, then that's where forgiveness comes in. The purpose of learning forgiveness is so that you can forgive yourself when you still make errors on the way to becoming more loving, because you're not going to pull it off all the time. So if you set it up where you got to be perfect and you never can get upset, then you're jamming yourself up. Forgiveness comes in when you go, you know what, I blew it that time. The only afterward message is, that was my call for love, and I'm going to see if I can do it better next time, because I was a fool last night. I went crazy last night. I lost my freaking mind last night, and I don't want to do that again. That's it. But if you think you're going to be on a spiritual path and your ego never loses it, you're going to make a long, hard road for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes you're going to lose it. Sometimes you're going to forget that you won. And so can you be gentle with yourself when you do that? So your real self, the thoughts that come from the real you, are always thoughts that you wouldn't mind anybody hearing. I say it again. The thoughts that are coming from your ego are your private secrets. The ego is the only thing that has secrets. So therefore, anything is your big secret that you can't tell anyone is not coming from your real self. It's coming from your ego. So ultimately, it doesn't matter. You can share it if you think you want to, and if you don't, everything's cool too. You know why? Because if I'm really coming from love, then there's nothing you can do to hurt me anyway. So it doesn't matter whether I know it or not. You know what I'm saying? Like a person, you need to know that person right there is talking about you behind their back and they're really trying to screw you around. Well, if I'm really coming from the love that I am, you know what? There's nothing they can do to me. It's going to backfire on them.
Right.
It's not going to bother. It's not. And if I got fired because somebody told a lie on me, whatever my next job was going to be a better job. And that was the way I chose to get out of the job I was in. It's a little drama. Because that was the only way I was going to let myself have something better.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? I would have stayed there in that job I didn't like for the next 20 years. But the part of me that loved me went, oh, okay, you need some kind of drama. Okay, so the company got sold and they're getting rid of you. So your ego is freaking, but your true self knows there is no loss in spirit. So it knows if one door is shut, hear that, Raj? Yes. If one door shuts, another door is open, something better is about to come your way. So you would go, one day you go, I got laid off, yippee. You go, I got laid off. Boy, I can't wait to see what the next adventure is I'm about to have. Yeah, that relationship ended. Oh, let me send them some flowers. I'm so glad it's over, I don't know what to do. That was the best thing that could have happened to me, that we broke up. One day you'll get that way. You will really get to the point, you will really believe everything happening to you is for your own best interest. Wouldn't that be great? When you to finally get to that level? You know, Byron Katie was going blind one time. She's a spiritual teacher. Some of you might have heard of her. She was going blind. And you know what she wrote in her book? She said, I was going blind and I was losing my sight. And I was getting excited about, boy, I bet you that'd be interesting to see how I can make it with no eyesight. I bet you that'll just be exciting to see what it'd be like to get my hearing even more keen than it's ever been before. And I get a chance to see who will reach out to me. You know what I'm saying? She and I was like, whoa, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
But I could see where that would be exactly where you would want to be if you wanted to have peace.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you would have to get to, that level of consciousness one day, that you would go, no matter what's happening to me right now, there's some kind of lesson in this, there's some kind of opportunity in this. Let me see what I can do. Because Christopher Reeve reminded me of that. Superman, when he was like, it lost, he was like, he couldn't move nothing. And he was more optimistic and more happy than everybody with so many people with the full use of their body who complaining about everything.
He also created a more awareness and love. Yeah,
I've talked to people who've gone through cancer, where there's a possibility where they could die, and they said that and I've talked to several people with that, and they said that the thing that's the roughest for them is they say all of a sudden you realize how much everybody's bitching and moaning about nothing. You're sitting up there, and any day you could lose your life, and you hear everybody miserable about the food that came was cold, or they need to lose 2 pounds that they haven't lost. You see, they said all of a sudden you see just how ungrateful and meaningless what people are focusing in on to make themselves unhappy. Yeah. And I had to admit that was true. That I'm one of those. That I don't really have any real problems, really, but I still choose to make myself feel less than happy about things. Nothing outside of myself is causing the experience that I'm having. So it's kind of sobering. That's why the Course keeps talking about gratitude, appreciation, gratitude. Like whenever you're upset, think a thought of gratitude. Whenever you're upset, think about something you're thankful for. That's why you hear those kind of teachings. Use it as an opportunity. So I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for this opportunity I've had tonight to remember the truth. I'm grateful for a sore throat right before I go speak on the West Coast for a whole weekend, because I know that that's a defense against the truth, and that means that there's something about this weekend that my ego knows that I'm already frightened about. It's frightened about. So I know that gives me an indication that something about this weekend is going to be very unusual. It's always interesting as a public speaker when you go somewhere. I'm going to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, what they call the Boulder of the East Coast, and doing an all-day workshop, and then speaking to the Unity Church congregation, then doing the afternoon workshop. So I got this whole weekend of communicating. Wow. And so I'm watching my body react. And the Course is saying, well, that's just your ego trying to convince you that you're a body. It's trying to convince you that you're separate. And there's some truth that's been realized that you are trying to prove to yourself that you can't be as powerful or as loving or as whole or as healed as you're saying you are. So what I'm doing is using whatever's happening to me physically to remind myself of the truth. Because every time you use something that's happening to remind you of the truth, then you're undermining your ego's plan. Because your ego wants you to use sickness or anything else to make you forget the truth and think the truth isn't true. But if you go, oh, this is a trick to make me forget that I'm innocent and that I still have God and everything, then you're undermining it. And so you have it happen less and less and less and less. So it's not that because you study this stuff, you won't still go through these things. It's because you're studying this stuff that you should have another way of looking at it when they happen. You see what I mean?
Right.
You know. So being here with you tonight and experiencing the truth at the level that I'm doing is undermining my ego's desire to create this for me more in the future. And it's also making me aware that something's up. Because usually in my experience, right on the other side of some type of stuff, there's always some kind of gift. Almost every time it's been that way. If I didn't let go of the truth, if I grabbed hold to the truth more. So I have my iPod on all the way there listening to the section Sickness is a Defense Against the Truth from the Course. I'm going to play it all night long at home as I sleep. See, that's what I do. You know, like my ego mess with me, I drown it in the truth. You know, I don't like when stuff upset me, I back off and try to handle it. You know, I might, now I'm gonna go get a cold remedy or whatever I need for my sore throat after I tell myself the truth about what's really going on. You know, the Course says it's okay to use, he calls them special agents, to symbolize your willingness to be healed. So if I go get something for my throat, that's just saying I am symbolizing I'm willing to be healed. So you're working from both ends. You know, you don't try to just sit up and heal yourself and pretend that you don't feel what you feel physically. He said, try to heal yourself. If it doesn't work, don't try again. And go do something outside of yourself. It's right there in the book.
Gargle.
All right, so I told myself the truth. My throat's still scratchy. All right, I'm headed straight to Walgreens.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get something for my throat and drown my mind with the truth. That's where you do it. That's the way you do it. No matter what comes up, use it as an opportunity to remember this. Okay? So, let's do the love offering. Appreciate y'all Yeah, so thank you so much for sharing with me my full-time ministry with the Course. There you go, David. No, I won't be here Sunday, but Anna Kajawa is going to do my Course in Miracles class on Sunday. And if you all don't know Anna, she's an incredible Course in Miracles teacher. So if you want to hear somebody that's very interesting and very powerful teacher of the Course in Miracles, come to the 1 o'clock class on Sunday. If any of y'all ever seen the videos that we've done on special relationships, Anna's the one that does those videos with me. So she'll be here this Sunday while I'm out of town. And for those of you on the internet also hearing this, I'm available for personal sessions called Clarity Sessions. And go to my website and it explains everything about it. And I can do it on the phone also, and anybody that's here. All right, so let's take 1 minute before we go out into the world to say what we said at the very beginning, which is nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. I experience only the effects of my own choice for a minute. So that'll bring us to a nice completion. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. I experience only the effects of my own choice. So let's just pretend that we can have enthusiasm. Okay, let's just pretend that we can put some energy behind the truth words. I know it's our ego that doesn't want to put the energy behind it. Isn't that great that we know
Yeah.
what part of us that doesn't want to say the truth? Okay. Let's do it again. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. I experience only the effects of my own choice. Appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hugs are available.
Shebang, shebang, shebang.
Being down at